Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We are broadcasting from the Concierge Landscape Studios. We're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. For our listeners in the second hour here, we want to let you know we've got a free subscription, our bi-monthly newsletter that we want to give to you free. Give us a call during the week at New Concepts at 952-922-2500. Ask for Courtney. She'll make sure that you start receiving your subscription.
And we want to thank our listeners who sent us emails this week with questions and topics that we've been able to discuss. It really added some great variety, I think, to the program today.
Always appreciate hearing from our listeners.
Call us. Leave us a message at 952-224-2668 and let us know what's on your mind.
That's right. With the newsletter, too, I'll just say that, we all also not only cover the topics that we cover here, but we have other great things that we're offering at New Concepts, like our webinars. We've had some great responses to some of our webinars as of late. People are saying, "Hey, can we hear them again? How can we?" And I'm happy to say that if you get our newsletter, you also get our web address for our website, and you can go on. You can get past podcasts of our radio show, newsletters, also now webinars. People
great.
can now go on, and if you missed that webinar when it was going live, you can listen to it again by just going to our website. So a lot of great information. And why? Because the reason we never get tired of doing this show is there's always a lot of stuff to talk about, because there's always a lot to cover.
There's a lot going on.
People live in a homeowners association, and a lot of times they just don't know.
And I don't know the statistics, Gene, but in the last 10 years, it has to have grown phenomenally, the populations of homeowners associations in our country. Don't you think?
Oh, it has. As a matter of fact, I think some of the statistics that's in our next story here, too, brings that out.
Okay.
And so why don't we go ahead with that story, and we'll talk about that in a moment here. This is coming from the Myrtle Beach Sun News, March 31st. You get the impression from the writer of this story that it says homeowners, legislators, they want HOA rules to move forward. They want HOAs to be progressive. Gives you the idea, though, that perhaps others aren't for moving forward.
Others are mired in the Middle Ages,
that's
apparently.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true, but let's go with that premise and move on. What is the big item? We've talked about it already. From money being spent on items the community wasn't aware of, to an increase in late fees, an insurance amendment without homeowners' approval. The list of complaints goes on and on, says this article. That's why another state representative thought, we need to start overseeing homeowner associations more.
Oh, Lordy.
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 They just can't leave well enough alone.
No.
The idea here that where did we get in our society, Tony? The idea that you believe at face value what just one person says, without ever checking facts, without ever finding the other side of the story to see if it's accurate.
Well, you know what? I can't operate that way in my business life every day, but politicians certainly seem to operate that way. They get one constituent unhappy about an issue, and they just go to town on that, don't they?
Yeah, they hear one side and think that's got to be it. And I don't know, after a while, I would think you lose something. And what you lose is credibility.
No kidding. I agree.
If you just kind of go off, knee-jerk
reaction.
Exactly. And so, but that's what's happening here. And so the complaints are, hey, look, money's being spent and we're not aware of it. But I would ask the question to that state representative who feels that a homeowner association needs overseeing. I don't know that those in the state of Florida or us in the state of Minnesota know exactly how our legislators are spending all of our money.
That's right. That's right.
And
we elected them to operate our state.
Yeah. And so just because someone isn't aware, you don't know if it's because they haven't bothered to pay attention. That's
90% of the time. That's what it is.
Isn't that the case?
It's just like I was talking about mailing something to somebody that they never looked at. I had a person in court say to the judge, "Oh, anything I get from New Concepts, I throw in the trash." Okay, so how do we communicate to people? That person can say, "I never knew they spent this money." That's because they never read anything they got from the homeowners association.
Yeah. And so the complaint here is that people don't know what's going on, and you get the idea that these board members on a homeowners association just have too much authority, and that they're running roughshod over these folks. Okay, this gentleman, last name is Howard, said complaints. He said are so numerous. He said from residents. He said on how. They said right here, lost my place here, complaints some residents have about homeowner associations, how those groups use their power. He says it's just too much. He said improvements need to be made. Homeowner associations need more controls in place. And here's an example that he gives, and this is a little bit later here in the story. There is I think it's a woman by the name of Zolakowski, and she said, here's a perfect example. She said why the association needs more accountability. It says for decisions that need to be made. And this was over the topic of insurance.
Okay.
Here's what happened. It was discovered that the insurance amendment that the board was making passed, but without a majority of the homeowners actually approving it.
Which is probably allowable by their governing documents.
Yes, good point. Yes, it is.
The board gets to make that decision.
That's why you elect them.
Yeah.
But here you have a case where you have a board that doesn't feel comfortable in their roles or position.
Yeah.
And so what happens? They started backpedaling when
they got complaints.
When they got a couple complaints, it was declared to be nothing more than a clerical error. Now you're lying, to try and cover up. They should have said, no, this is what needs to be done. And so the insurance amendment was withdrawn and removed from the homeowner association's records. And this issue was given as an example of why HOAs have too much power.
And they should be more regulated.
Yeah.
None of these articles where legislators are stepping in and starting to draft bills based on one or two constituents' problems, none of these articles talk about the governing documents of the homeowners association, or very few of them. Yeah. The contract these homeowners agreed to and signed when they joined this association. And it's like then the state thinks it has to step in and start reinventing the wheel on every issue when it's all right there in the governing documents.
It is. It is, and they need to allow the process to take place. What in that particular case of the insurance amendment they were making, it was the board talking about how the $5,000 deductible would be assigned in any insurance claim moving forward.
Meaning assigned to the homeowners involved in an insurance claim.
Yes, and so
now on the surface, that sounds horrible. What, my board just decided to charge me $5,000 if I have a fire. That's not right. But what's the reality?
Yeah,
what happens in the real world?
Yeah, in the real world, the homeowner association, to save money, will end
on
up
their insurance
premiums so that they can charge you less, homeowner.
They
end up saying we're going to have a larger deductible.
That's right.
Those amounts are $5,000, $10,000, which means
they've gone up a lot.
$5,000-$10,000 of any claim is not going to be paid by the insurance company. So it has to be paid by someone else. But you have something else. Homeowners have what's called an HO6 policy. And if you have an HO6 policy, you are going to have a policy that will cover the balance of that deductible, if it's $5,000, $10,000, if you have it in place.
That's right. You have your HO6 policy on your individual unit to cover any deductible charged to you by the master policy, down to your deductible on your HO6.
So what gets me upset about something like this is here you have people, knee-jerk reaction from legislators.
That's right.
Who don't understand, because the people that are giving them information, they don't understand how things are either.
That's right.
And now you're talking about legislation that's going to have a huge impact, and everybody that's giving input so far doesn't know.
Ignorant and ill-informed.
Yeah.
I know. And we've talked about this a million times. The legislators are under no obligation, apparently, to hear all sides of an issue.
What's that all about?
I don't know. It makes me crazy.
Well, we want to talk more about this story, but we need to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll talk about the folks in Florida. Are they moving forward or are they going backwards? You decide. We'll cover that and more after these messages.